Organization is the. Today I streamed for like 8 hours.
The government project, right from the start.
Your host, Julie Kennis.
Welcome everyone to the nightly recap powered by the Gokhshtein News Network, your trusted source for politics, crypto, and everything in between that makes you question reality. And tonight, your sanity. We are flipping the script. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Because there's something wrong with my ear. And let me tell you guys why. There's something wrong with my ear, my vision. I wonder if I'm a freaking psyop. And you know why I think there's something wrong with me and I can't hear? It's like I hear this ringing all of a sudden. It's like my ear feels like it's full of water. Craziness, right? And I say this because tonight we're flipping the script. Tonight, no headlines, no summaries. Tonight is a special broadcast. See, I can't even speak either. I think I'm a freaking AI robot that's being controlled. But tonight it's Conspiracies Unleashed. In a world where politics, power, and crypto collide, nothing is what it seems. The deeper you dig, the darker it gets. And tonight I am supposed to have two guests, and I don't know where they are. I don't know what happened to them. Deep State, DARPA, CIA, whoever knew that we were going to be talking conspiracies tonight. And these two guests are nowhere to be seen. I haven't heard from them. I heard from them earlier today. They had confirmed that they were going to be coming on live with me today. And then all of a sudden, they're not here, guys. What the hell happened? What the hell is happening? But anywho, buckle up, because as soon as my guests get on, or they do come on, if they do happen, things are going to get unleashed, what can be unleashed. So buckle up. This isn't news tonight. This is Conspiracy Unleashed. But before we get started, hello, Leanne. Hi, Julie. Hello to some of my beautiful people in the chat. Tonight, we decided to have a special show for you. We are not going to wrap up the news. We were just going to mainly talk conspiracies. And of course, we are going to be talking different conspiracies, not just one. But one of the ones that I wanted to touch on is the Epstein. I call it the Epstein distraction. What the hell do you guys think happened the last few days? I mean, how do you feel about it? Is it disappointing for you? It's just crazy. So let's go ahead and dig in, and I am going to touch on this. So the Epstein distraction. I think that certain things that were showing to us deliberately. They were produced, they were delivered to us, and therefore I think they're not trustworthy. One of the things that I saw is in doing a little bit of research that over the past 6 months, it's come out that the CIA killed JFK. And remember, everything that we're talking on this show is conspiracy theories. But over the past 6 months, it's come out that the CIA killed JFK. Two 9/11 hijackers were CIA assets. US government blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The CIA director met with Epstein 3 times after he was convicted of child sex crimes. Now, the DOJ, FBI leaks and investigations, they recent probe into figures like Comey and Brennan appear strategically timed to shift focus away from Epstein. I mean, kind of makes you wonder, right? And then there's that MAGA aligned messaging promoting deep state theories, keeps attention diverted from actual policy and legal developments. PSYOPs and narrative control, the Trump Musk feud that's happening on X, Sutter memos, and classified document drop patterns are classic distraction techniques. But why are we being distracted? What are they distracting us from? What are we really not looking? And it typically happens that way where there's something huge that's happening, and on the face or the surface somewhere else, something else is happening. And then after a fact, when it comes to light, then we sit there and we're like, oh my gosh, now I understand why we were being distracted with XYZ. But anywho, so the intelligence community, I see, so entities like CIA, NSA, and sometimes FBI play a central role in what information gets classified, leaked, or timed to influence events. This includes control leaks to media, to steer public opinion or apply pressure, redactions or national security shields used to suppress information like the Epstein files, the JFK docs, PSYOP and foreign interference narratives that often shape U.S. Narratives indirectly. So, example, the CIA's historical role in Operation Mockingbird shows how the agency once influenced the U.S. media for psychological operations. Point number two is the executive branches. What are the executive branches? The White House, DOJ, DOD, the president, attorney general, and defense secretary hold direct control over what gets declassified, what investigations go public, which prosecutions are prioritized or delayed, any emergency narratives, such as terror threats, economic alerts, what is currently happening with the weather. I mean, I have another theory about the weather system as well, and what the hell is happening, what happened in Texas, New Mexico, what was it, North Carolina, or when there was 3 states that all of a sudden the weather started freaking going crazy, things that we have not seen in years. But I do also think and believe in weather control and manipulation. So let me go ahead and go back on topic. So other things, policy directives from executive orders, budgets, decisions, and enforcement and memos. So for example, the DOJ deciding whether or not to release the Epstein list is a White House aligned move, even when the public demands transparency. Oh my God. Quick break. Who is freaking David? Don't be coming on and fighting with Tammy. Tammy is the best person on here. Tammy knows what's up. David does not know what time it is. David does not know what's up. But going back to what I was going over, oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Landy, welcome, my friend. I don't know what you caught, but I was talking conspiracy theories about the Epstein files. Landy is one of our big hitters that was supposed to be live with me right since the beginning. And my understanding, Langley Landy, the reason
Yes.
that you were not, or one of the reasons I can't really say here publicly, but you might have been held captive for a little bit. So you might be limited on what you can say or share, right?
It does appear that I was being held back in some way, but if you look in your DMs on X, you'll see why.
Oh. Wait, how come my DMs are not popping up, Landy?
Well, it's because you're talking about the Epstein files, obviously.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, it's
So,
not popping up. So, okay.
well, if
Oh,
you can see what I just posted in there, you'll see why it took me a minute to get in here.
oh shit. Maybe that's why it's taking a minute. Maybe. Let me resend it too.
Yeah, because it got cut off. That's all.
That is
But
so well, that makes sense, conspiracy theory. But Landy, one of the things that I was talking about is like the conspiracy and who may be part of the Epstein files not being released and who controls the narrative of what is declassified and what gets relieved. And part of me, I don't know if you heard all of it or the extent of it. I was talking about like the intelligence community, which includes the CIA, NSA, FBI.
mhm.
I talked about the executive branch, which was the White House, DOJ, DOD. I didn't get to corporate media and gatekeepers, outlets too, that also help control the narrative to some of these. And then, of course, um, entities like the Council on Foreign Relations, Brookings, Heritage, Silicon Valley founders, etc., and things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I listened to a bit of it.
Rob, hi.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Leslie. I'm so sorry. I got my time zone screwed up.
We're since it's a conspiracy show, Rob.
So I
Landy
thought
too. He was held captive. So I was saying that both of you were held captive because we were going to talk conspiracy today.
I'm all for conspiracy, and I thought it was in 45 minutes, and I realized my time zones because I'm traveling got all messed up, and I was like, wait, I think it's actually now. So I
Yes.
apologize that I'm on audio,
No,
and I can bring my camera up just so you can see, but it's right now not letting me show my camera, and I'm not sure why Restream doesn't want me to show my camera because I'm not afraid to show my face. I'm not hiding in the shadows like the deep state. I'm more than comfortable being seen, but for whatever reason, it just it's like your camera cannot be seen. It's like,
no, you're
so
good,
I'll
Rob.
keep trying to do it.
Landy is not showing his face either.
Well,
Therefore,
Landy's
you're
at least got a good graphic, though. He's at least got something other than a pulsing R in the middle. Like,
I could have uploaded something for you, but I won't be able to right
at
now.
least Landy has an avatar.
He has a
Yeah.
cute little avatar with a little animal that's licking the floor.
Well, it's actually a puking puppet.
Wow.
Because that's how we.
Just clicking the floor. Cute little avatar that's clicking
I'm
the floor.
kidding,
Sorry,
Landy.
Landy, but you just got pushed to the whatever. But that's all good. It's all
Well,
good. Landy, you don't need
it's
to
nice to
defend your
meet you, bud.
masculinity here. It's all right. You too.
But I'm puking. This is a puking puppet.
Oh,
It
it's
is.
cute, not licking.
It's a puking little Bitcoin puppet. So yeah,
It's a puking puppet.
Yes, it is puking out the rainbow.
Puking out the
Puking
rainbow.
out the rainbow. But I love that Leslie's like, he's on the floor groveling. You're like, no, I'm puking. Sorry, there's a difference. Like,
there's
But
a bit of a difference. There's
Randy,
also been
that's how
some
women
jokes.
see it. That's how women see it, right? It's like, let's just be honest, Leslie. Like, it's sort of like, you're pathetic. It's like, I'm not pathetic. I'm fucking doing whatever. But it's like, wow. You're like, no, I'm not on the floor crawling. I'm just puking because I'm disgusted. Like,
No, I joke a lot with Landy, but Rob, meet
yes.
Langley Landy and everyone meet Rob Nelson. Earlier, I was going to do the introduction that tonight I have two heavy hitters ready to unleash what can be unleashed in this Conspiracy Unleashed series, special series of tonight. And we were talking about like the Epstein files. One of the things that I started the show off is talking about the Epstein distraction. I think it's a distraction. I know that Tammy and I are typically on the same spot. Tammy mentioned something and she makes a good point where how BB came here and then the next day, boom, there's no files. I know that this has been a topic.
Wow. You go really deep with these conspiracies, Leslie. Wow. You think BB coming here is wow. I'm just like in wow state.
Tammy,
I might be Landy on the floor puking right now. I'm just saying. You actually
no,
think
look,
there's a
this is
connection.
why
Like,
Tammy and I have conspiracy because Tammy and I, we will get on the phone and Tammy, it's like my conspiracy theories were a little bit different. It had to do also with the war, Ukraine, and now we're sending stuff to Ukraine. Who is involved? And then Tammy made a point about, BB coming here and then the next day there's no files. And this is what I was talking about is that part of the conspiracy that I have, or the conspiracy theory of the files not being leaked, is who can possibly be involved. Because at this point, it really doesn't matter if the Democrats. I know that David and Landy talked about if the Democrats had any information about Trump, then they probably would have released information and kept him from winning the presidency. But I think it goes beyond that because I think people who possibly could have been involved or part of these files are entities, the intelligence community, CIA, NSA, FBA, the executive branch, the White House, DOJ, DOD, corporate and media gatekeepers, information that's leaked to them and they control that narrative. And of course, foreign councils, um, big hitters, and private intelligence firms like Global
right.
Consultancy, Intelligence, etc. Now, I also did,
Leslie, can I interrupt you for a second?
yeah, of
Can,
course,
can I offer a simpler explanation?
sure.
So I always think, what's that law goes wrong will go wrong? The answer is probably the obvious answer. I don't know what it is. It's some, right? The most obvious explanation is the problem, right?
Yeah.
Am I still here? So to
Yeah,
me,
No,
yeah,
you're
you
the
were
most
cutting in and out a
obvious
little bit.
explanation is not BB came, not are burying it and could have done it. The obvious explanation to me is they can't find anything because the people who killed Kennedy were dumb. They didn't leave a six so deep buried inside the deep state of the dead or alive. The Don the truth, and then he was like, "Shit."
Oh my gosh, Rob, you're breaking up really bad. They don't want you to talk, Rob.
Oh, what happened? Did he ended up losing the connection? See, that's how it goes. I know what he's driving towards.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. Sorry, guys. It's like he can't find.
Yeah. I actually I do agree with you that well, one, I wanted to tell you the information that was leaked about Leslie, that was leaked about the memo, and of course that was the DOJ jail footage. That was on Sunday. BB didn't get here until Monday. Now,
Oh,
could
Leslie,
it
he
be
just killed your
coincidental?
conspiracy theory. He just killed your
No, but it
conspiracy
was
theory.
because look, it's even if he killed the conspiracy or not, Rob, it's a sequence of events. Of course, you're going to put
Yes.
pawns in place. That way, if you do try to tie certain things together, you're not going to be able to. So even though they already knew BB was going to come, so their motive was probably, hey, let's release this ahead of schedule. That way, it doesn't make it seem like, oh, he's coming here. He's going to control this chaos that's happening in America and be like, you're not going to leak it because it's going to affect
Right.
us X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
But then certain things prior to.
That's really good. That's really good. And Andy, I know you're going to finish your thought, but I got to just say to Leslie, and I'm not saying this in a gender specific way, but I am. This is
Mhm.
what every woman in my life has ever done. No matter what you say, they're like, no, actually, the reason why what you said isn't true is because I have another explanation that explains the explanation. Like, no, they didn't know. They knew he was coming, so they did it ahead of time. And it's like, wow, you're never going to be right. It's just like, just put up the white flag and surrender. Sorry. Like,
This is
that's
why
women.
we're
And that's why we
amazing.
love you. That's why we love you. Like,
That is freaking Rob. Oh my God. Let me tell
That
you,
was
David
brilliant.
always said that I should have been an attorney.
Yes, most women would make very good attorneys. They're really good at
mhm.
digging up the past.
So,
Uh,
Landy, no matter what you say, you're gonna be wrong here because Leslie's gonna be like, well, no, that's a really good point. However, let me just decimate that point because BB knew from the grave that whatever it's sort of like there's no winning. Like you're just done. Like make your best case, but I'm sorry. It's Billy Joel. You're always a woman to me. You can do what you want, and we're just gonna have to fucking deal with it. Like, too bad.
well, I was gonna
So,
say, Rob, that I actually agree with you. But I take it, they've had so many years to destroy this evidence, and they knew that a lot of these conservative voices that were very popular, Cash, was already a part of the prior
Sorry,
administration,
I'm
so
doing
they knew
a
he'd be coming
podcast.
back, and he was very adamant about getting this list right.
Right.
It was
Right.
Pam Bondi prior to the election. What's funny about it is
She's like, we're gonna get all of it. We're gonna put it all out.
yeah.
But then they realized we can't get it. Like,
Well, yeah, I think that it was kind of a fool's errand because they walked them right into this brick wall in terms of optics because they could just destroy all the evidence. They can hide stuff, and I do lean on the side of Epstein and his handlers are very smart. They were able to get this network. This is just one of many networks, and that we've seen and that we know about, and likely one of the largest networks that spans not just here in the U.S. and U.S. figures, but world leaders. And
right.
I mean,
Do
this
you
is
do you
so
guys,
big.
Landy? Do you
Yeah.
think, and Leslie, you too? Do you honestly think Epstein killed himself?
no.
That's a
Um,
shocking answer, Leslie. I thought you'd say yes. I'm kidding. I don't either, by the way. But they're like, no, it's irrefutable. I'm like, really? The guy killed himself? I don't know. It's possible, but it seems more likely he didn't. Like,
And if he did, because it could go both ways, I think that somebody probably did something to him to cover up whatever. If he did kill himself, he probably wanted to go down hiding more secrets than the world should be preview to because we're
but
on a new
why
time.
would you die wanting, if the whole thing when people die is they'll say it all. Like, I'm going to die, I'll let it all out. Why would you die to cover up the secrets? Like, why wouldn't you be like, if I'm going to die, everyone can know? Like, I could see not wanting to live with everyone knowing, but if you were going to die, why wouldn't you make sure everybody knew the secrets? Like, what do you benefits you get by dying and keeping it a secret?
Because it probably goes beyond what any of us can comprehend.
I mean, he seemed like he was just a really slick pawn in a very large game. And this is where,
That's a good point. Slick pawn in a large game. So did he kill himself?
well, that's where, there's an argument to be made that no, he likely didn't. But there's an argument to be made that there's ways to coerce people to kill themselves, right? Like there's many different methods, especially when you start to extrapolate out to, he could have known about threats, and didn't want to get
Got
stabbed
it.
to death,
Got it.
right?
So they were like, here's your options. You
You
hang
get stabbed
yourself
to death in the
tonight.
mess hall, or
Right. You hang
you know,
yourself tonight or we fuck you up worse. Like your choice. Which path do you want to pick? Like,
yeah, you're gonna get it either way, kind of thing. I personally fall on the side of there's no way he wasn't murdered. I don't think that he believed that and me personally, based on kind of doing the research on the guy and his history and what we know about him, he probably didn't even he probably believed he'd get out of this one like he did back in '08. See, a lot of people don't even register the '08 that we've had the little black book. We
Where
have
he
all the
got
names.
that life sentence.
yeah, he got like 6 months or whatever. A joke.
Yeah.
Like whatever they did.
Yeah, and
Which later, wait, isn't that the guy that later became Trump's labor secretary or something like that? Something of Trump?
I don't believe so.
No, she's right. There is somebody that was part of that. I don't know. He became the labor. Somebody was part of that who then became, part of the Trump world. But
In the
that is
first
true.
term?
No,
First
prior
term,
to.
right?
No. So hold on, let me research it because the
There
person
is
that
somebody who was part of it. He was like the district attorney or the
somebody
AG
that
or whatever.
yes, that was part of the Epstein case. I don't know if he was the main guy, the guy that negotiated. I can't recall or remember, but he later became one of those people that was involved in that plea deal or whatnot in that Epstein case back in 2008. He later became something under Trump something.
Remember, Landy, we're dealing with the female conspiracy theorist here, so there's
Well,
no way we're gonna have to
But
answer all the questions.
yeah. And then, okay, so we have that situation there, right? And then, did you guys know that also Trump's PAC or Trump's whatever funded prior to uh, gave some money or gifted Pam Bondi and also cash.
wait, Trump's PAC you're talking about?
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, Trump's PAC gifting money to who? Pam Bondi and Cash Patel?
Yep.
I don't recall when that would have been. This would have been post his first administration then. You sure they were gifted money through the PAC?
Yeah, be careful, Leslie, because Landy's gonna stick like a guy. He's gonna stick to the facts. He's gonna be. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sweetie.
No. Okay.
That's all
So
great, but can you give
I
me
mean,
the
I read that on
specifics?
Reddit
Can you
once.
give me the actual real
Rob,
details here, the deets and receipts?
this is why I
Thank you.
wrote it down. So let me go back in my notes. This is why I wrote it down. I'm trying to go back and look at my notes while I am going through. Okay, so Trump Foundation donation. So he wasn't the biggest donor, but Trump Foundation contributed in 2013 to a PAC backing Bondi. And
Yeah.
then shortly before her office declined to join fraud investigation into Trump University. Okay, so a university, but it wasn't that much. It was only 25,000. But it was a
Right,
notable political influence due to timing. And
But what does that
then
have to do with Epstein?
right,
no,
right.
well, I mean, come on, it's like a cover up now, right?
No.
Nah, that's
No,
too many strings.
Leslie, I'm sorry, you've met your match here. The worst thing for a woman who does what you do is a guy who does what Landy does, who's like, I ain't gonna get emotional here. I'm just gonna ask you to tell me the facts, baby. Like, I'm sorry.
No, this
And
is
what does it have to do with any of this? Like, just give me the specifics. I'm listening. I'm
okay. And then
open-minded.
Trump's leadership PAC paid Cash Patel over 300,000 since early 2024 for services as his national security advisor.
Yeah, of
And then
course, that's normal
late
stuff.
2022, Trump Save America PAC reportedly paid legal bills for Patel related to
Mhm.
grand jury testimony involving classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. but that was in 2022.
Yeah, but that was also so that's connected to the raid.
Then
So when
to
they raided him, they also tried to drag everyone in Trump's first term into
Into
so
that
was
court.
Cash
thing.
Patel in his first term,
Yes, yes,
and then now he's in his second term.
yes. Cash Patel
Okay.
was in what was he? National Security?
And then in
Yeah.
January
Security
2025,
He
advisor.
was
Media and
in
Technology Group awarded
the
Patel.
NSC, yeah.
Yeah. And then in this year, Trump Media and Technology Group awarded Patel approximately about 826,000 in company shares.
Yeah, yeah. Prior to him getting elected, yeah, because he was working with the Trump
No, this
organization
was already. When did Patel get elected?
for service. No, he got into. He was confirmed. What was it? February. He was
Mhm.
confirmed in February timeframe. Maybe it might have been a little bit longer for Patel. I
So
don't
you're
quite
giving him
remember.
shares and you're giving him all these things before you're confirmed?
Well, it's you can.
Buying
I
them
mean,
a
you're going to
food
pay out this year for services rendered in the year prior. But that's too much of a stretch because Kash Patel was already a national security advisor for Trump in his first term, and I believe I'm trying to remember which because he hopped around a few different positions in the prior term, and then he came aboard Trump's team as a national security advisor when he left office. So, Trump maintained connections to the political world and he protected those who were being prosecuted by the Democrats for all of the bullshit that they were trying to pull him in for. Even as far back to the Russia investigation crap, which
Yeah.
was a big hoax.
Look, I feel like Judge Judy here. Like I'm like whatever, but the truth
Remember,
is,
guys, and this is just conspiracy theory. It's not.
no. But what I was gonna say is, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree, right, that there is something going on here that we don't see. There is something underneath this that we can't get the truth of. Like, right? Whatever it is, it ain't what it looks like. There's something else. Whether it's Trump secretly concealing it, whether it's Trump can't get to it, there is something going on underneath all this that we're never going to see. And that's what's so frustrating. People are like, just show me the deets and receipts. And it's like, sorry, there are no deets and receipts to show you.
Right. And I don't think there ever will either, because at this point, I think what happened here is that and this is conspiracy theory, guys. I'm not speaking on concrete or anything, but what they could possibly be protecting is the potential connections to Trump foreign allies and donors. And when people say, oh, well, we know what their donor list is, we know what that looks like because, they have to disclose, it has to be on paper. Actually, no, because with the Trump coin, when it launched, a lot of people invested in that coin. Millions of dollars passed through that coin. There's no way, shape, or form that somebody can even know who and why and what type of people donated
That
to.
is true. That is true. You can't track that.
Yeah.
No, you can track that. It's on the
You can?
blockchain. Yes.
Yeah,
And
you
the
can
team
track
that
it on the
launched it.
blockchain, but you could hide it, right, Randy? You could
Well,
No, you
hide the
no, because they
donation.
officially ran this through a company. This is a company here in the United States that could be easily investigated,
Okay.
right?
So
And
you
then
think
that's
they
where the
could
launch
see all
came
the
from.
donations?
Yeah,
But
and
can you track if a government or some official from overseas bought into that and say they
and
freaking
secondary, sure, yeah, who knows? That's
million
doesn't.
dollars into it, you can track that.
Yeah, but they've already. It was like within the first 2 days they took out all their fees. There's a lot that can be said there. I did want to touch on this. So, the person you were thinking of was Alexander Acosta. He was part of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
controversial plea deal in Epstein's first guilty plea in the state of Florida. And he did serve as a labor secretary from 17 to 19. Kash Patel. So Kash Patel is interesting because he was like the jack of all trades in Trump's first term. He was on the National Security Council staff from 17 to 18. He was in the Department of Justice from 18 to 19. He went to the Department of Defense. He served as the acting chief of staff for the Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, right up until the end of the term. So now he's come back, of course, and he is heading up the FBI now. When it comes to like the Epstein stuff, I've been pretty adamant for a while that I've never felt that there was a coherent list like that Epstein himself kept, right? And why would you? When you have evidence, you don't need the list. You can just pull up that evidence, and that can be cataloged in various ways. It's more about what in the investigations, if they even bothered to investigate any of it outside of seizing it and destroying it, any information that they had. Um, there's got to be a list. We know victims. They have the CP, right? So we know that there's videos out there. This has been well acknowledged. Now we need to know who the perpetrators are, and they definitely have a list of who those perpetrators are. Absolutely, it's not like, oh, we have no idea. Like if you have a whole bunch of CP and you don't have who it was being shared to and connected to, we have the most sophisticated intelligence apparatus on the planet, and there's definitely there. I was talking with David yesterday about this, and you were there. You were in the audience, right, Leslie?
Yeah.
And I think that everyone that gets close to the Epstein stuff on the Democrat or Republican side, they turn tail and run. They look like they saw a ghost, and it's got to go so much bigger than just here in the United States, potentially international implications. Maybe, who knows? We don't know what's in there, but maybe threats of war, who knows? Maybe the destruction of our societal fabric here because of the players that are involved that we have no clue about, right? We have no idea. But the fact of the matter is, they need to release it. Now they're stuck in a rock and a hard place. So they were walked right into a brick wall. Even if, let's say, they've got all the information. She misspoke, that it wasn't actually a list. It was just all of the evidence that finally she had it on her desk and she was reviewing it. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Sure. Okay. Well, then release that evidence in whatever manner you possibly can. And this is where, and you have to think about tactics. So let's say they did release some sort of evidence that showed the players that were involved in this, that these children were being trafficked to, quite frankly. Now you bring some people and you drag them into court. They're being prosecuted. Well, no one's ever going to see the evidence. It's not going to be public, the evidence that's being shown to the jury for any of the CP or anything like that. And say they walk. What then? Right? How big of a fumble would that be? Like, there's so many things to consider and I don't give them a pass. I think that they need to release the evidence. Like, I don't care. I think that we're the American public wants the evidence. We want to see who was involved in that, and let us come to our own conclusions. Narratives be damned, on the right.
But Randy, what I'm saying is, I don't think they can find the evidence. I don't think they can get it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the president. I think I maybe didn't say this last week with you, Leslie, but Bill Clinton famously stuck his finger in my face in the White House and was like, this was 25 years ago. It was like, Rob, just because I'm president, I can't do anything I want. It's not that easy. I don't think Trump can get this information. Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's covering something up, but I don't think he can get it. I don't think the evidence you're saying they need to release, they can find. I think all they could do is say, sorry, guys, we can't find the evidence. We don't know where it is. It's just not there. Why would these people have left the evidence? You think they left a paper trail that would connect them?
No, you can go back. Look, we have some of the most, there's absolutely had to have been backups to what operations they're running, right? So they have to have.
You don't believe that. Wait. You don't, let's stick to that. You don't believe that the people who perpetrated all this would have covered their trail so that nobody could uncover it. You're like, nope, they could get to it.
No, I think that it's far too large of an operation for them to cover it all up. And even if we saw a fraction of it, even if they only have a fraction of it, right? Maybe who knows? I mean, one of the big things is like, for instance, I don't buy that Trump was ever there or ever involved, mainly because they would have selectively released that information and pounded him over the head with it. Likely, we wouldn't have seen him, prosecuted on all of this minor BS that he was prosecuted on in the prior administration. Um, but I don't buy that they don't have evidence of what players were involved. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's somebody within Trump's circle that was involved, and he's trying to protect them.
Yeah, and can we just say, because you've made some great points and I agree with you. It's like I just say things to trigger conversation a lot of the times, but a lot of the things that you say, I completely agree with you. Now, I don't, and I agree with what you said. I think that they didn't hide things. It's a web, it's an intricacy of things and how deep it goes. And what I think is that, shit, I lost my train of thought. I think there's something in my head, Lundy. I think everything that I wanted to say, it's like it's going off the rails, and I don't even remember what the fuck I wanted to say because it was going to be something good.
Well,
Shit.
either way, I know that you can agree with this, and maybe we'll get Rob back. I know that he was starting to lose his connection again there for a minute, but I would assume that you would agree with this. I
Yeah.
don't I don't care who's implicated. I want the public to know.
I want justice.
Whatever information you can
Yeah.
release that
Yeah.
does not affect the victims or reveal their identities. Get that
Yeah.
information out there. This is the biggest fumble of the ball that I've seen in a long time, and they put themselves in this position through their own words.
It was almost like they were at the freaking goal line, almost going to freaking touchdown, and then they fumbled right at the last second. Look, one of the things that, and I see comments as well, but one of the things that I think about too is like, at the beginning when Patel and Bondi, they were very confident about like, oh, we're going to release this. We have a list. We have this information. It's so, even her going on media and talking about how everything that was in the files was disgusting. They're going to prosecute them, all this stuff. Now look at her in the interview that they had, what was it, yesterday, a couple of days ago? And when she's speaking about the Epstein files, a couple of times she looks at Trump like for validation. And to me, it seems like she's looking at him like, okay, am I saying the right thing? Am I on track with what I'm saying? Her face kind of looks a little freaked out. Like,
Yeah,
what
but
the hell?
I think that that's reading too much into it, because he was well aware that Cash and her were out there
Mhm.
talking about having something to release. He was well
Exactly. So
aware of that.
exactly. He was well aware of it. So that's why, if you're well aware of it, why all of a sudden, okay, there's nothing to release and case closed, period. What do
He
you mean
looked
there's nothing
pissed.
to release?
He looked pissed about the fact that there was nothing to release. And I'd have to venture to say, because he's the one who authorizes this stuff anyway and told them to investigate and put this out there. That's what they claimed that they were going to do. This was part of their run up, which I did find interesting, because Trump didn't rarely ever really referenced the Epstein files. It was mainly the other speakers that would come up during the rallies, but he would always say, like, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Can't
Mhm.
we need to see them? Where are they? But he never called for like a list or any of this other stuff. It was really Bondi and Cash that were specifically talking about lists on podcasts and in interviews and stuff in the lead up, right? And this was a big piece of why the base for Trump was excited that they were being being nominated.
Right. Okay, so now, and maybe we are overthinking this or dissecting this, but where was that confidence coming from? So if Patel or Bondi were already working with Trump previously in some capacity, and then, they all came so confident at the beginning, Trump is like, okay, we're going to release this files. And then what Bondi said, and then what Patel said, that confidence came from somewhere, Landy. It's like they were
Yeah.
sure of something, and then all of a sudden, their faces look defeated, like, fuck, there's nothing.
Well, I mean, maybe there really was nothing, but I don't buy that.
Or
I
maybe
just
it was
don't.
hidden, and whatever was released to them, it's like, nope, higher ups, the people that are really running the show, because we know at the end of the day, is the president really running the show, or is it somebody else
I
bigger?
think about it like chess. Like you might have something that you can release, but if the release of that has way bigger downside windfalls, potentially internationally,
Mhm.
what could the implicate? Because we don't know. We have no idea because we don't know what's in it, right? Like we only know
Yeah,
what
that's
hearsay
true.
is.
That's true. And by the way, sorry, I disappeared for a minute because my connection got
No,
lost.
it's okay.
Can can I ask you both something? Like, Leslie, the Epstein files, obviously it's all on our mind, but what he just said was, I know what you just said was basically like, I thought, was that what they did with COVID? Did they know all kinds of stuff, and they, for all kinds of reasons, maybe it was geopolitical, maybe it was military, maybe it was state
Absolutely,
secrecy, just didn't really, they knew it came out of lab in China, but they're like, well, no, because that could tie it back to this, that, whatever. Like, isn't it sort of the same that, like, they literally covered up everything and did whatever it took, no matter how many people died, know what the
Oh,
consequences were,
absolutely.
and we'll
Yes, and
never get to the bottom of it?
nope. I also think part of it was population control.
You truly are a conspiracy theorist, Leslie. I'm going to give you that 100%.
Well,
You are the ultimate conspiracy theorist. Bill Gates, kill off the people. But maybe it is population control. I don't know. I'm just saying, even if it wasn't population control, they had every reason to cover everything up to make sure that nobody knew the truth, because the truth would be too consequential.
well,
Look, I think a lot of it also has to do with, how the mRNA in that shot alters the biology in your system. Part of it, yeah, population control. Part of it is, what if it's something that they injected into your system, and at one point or another it's going to reset you when they fully take control of the world and dominate? Because at this point, with the way that we're going with blockchain, Bitcoin, stable coins, CBDCs, Landy talks about the fourth turning, which I still had to go down that rabbit hole. I think we are going to
great book.
going into a world where we are going to be completely centralized. He disappeared again. I think he's a true conspiracy theorist because he keeps disappearing.
Well, I was gonna, there's many that don't like Trump, that pick on the fact that there's a couple of pictures out there of him with Epstein, um, and this is it. One, I mean, most people ignore the fact that Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago for making passes at some of the younger women that worked there. And I think that mixed in with Epstein on the left and the right, in terms of the political spectrum and business people, there's a lot of people that were likely attached to him in some way or around him in some way that had nothing to do with the side operation. And I do mean that, even some of the people that I might not like on the left, there's it's very clear that some of them have been pretty cleared based on, like, these are business dealings that they were doing. The guy literally was a financier, right? Like,
Yep.
he had money, and when you're doing business, especially in New York, you're going to come into contact with everyone, every business person, and that's where I think it is important to understand who the perpetrators of these crimes were, and who actually went to the island, because there might be times when people were at the island. If he really had it as heavily surveilled as people actually, as we've been led to believe, if that island really was that heavily surveilled, there could have been trips there that had nothing to do with the debauchery and the exploitation of people and human trafficking, right?
Yep.
Now it's known as the Lolita Express, though, and we assume that everything that ever happened in every plane that ever landed there, with every character that ever landed there, was in some untoward. And we don't know. We don't even know that, right? Like, was Stephen Hawking really? He went there. Did he really participate in any of this stuff? We don't know. But if there was video evidence, we'd probably never see it anyway, because it would more than likely be exploitation. But if we knew the names, then we can let the public decide, right? Because there were a lot of regular business people, high elites that were attached to Epstein, that didn't go to, they've cross-referenced that little black book with the flight logs
Right.
to the island, and there's plenty of people in there who were never on the flight logs to the island, to the extent that we know of those flight logs, right? So it's really interesting. And then there's all kinds of that other stuff with him saving his sperm and having like all this, investing in all of the life extension stuff, and it gets really weird.
It's like if you really, really do research and study the economies, whether here in the US, third world countries, other countries, where do they make a lot of their money? Especially like big politicians, people, the elites. A lot of it
Politicians
is
make their
corrupt.
money outside
A
of
lot of
office.
Right, and a lot of it is corrupt, Landy. A lot of it it's drugs. A lot of it is human trafficking, children trafficking. It's over $1 billion industry. So if there was anything that the Epstein or his network partook in that in human trafficking,
Hmm.
this is conspiracy, guys. And you can't blow the lid on operations like that because it will destroy a lot of the networks out there, a lot of the networks for very powerful people.
Well, it's funny. What's up, Soka? Shout out to Soka out there. Um,
Okay.
what's interesting is, so to go back a little bit earlier, I don't know why I just had this thought pop into my head. You remember the Alexander Acosta thing? So
Yes.
he was involved in, and this is where like things don't add up. Like if you're going to prosecute a case, or even try to link, for those that want to try to link Trump to it as well, or if you're trying to link other players in the circle to it, look at timelines. Like Acosta was involved in the guilty plea deal for Epstein in the 2008 case. Famously, the little black book came out, and Ivanka Trump was in the little black book as a contact. Trump was nowhere in it. His one of the ancillary organizations was as a business contact, but the personal contact for Ivanka, and I believe there was some other related relatives that were in that. But Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago in '07. So I don't really. There's a lot. And look, I get that. This is big. It's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than the left. It's bigger than the right. It's bigger than Clinton and Obama and Biden and all of them. I think that it's so far reaching. I mean, we know once Prince Andrew, King Andrew, was also connected, right? And there's so much there that I don't think we even understand the implications. So the way that I approach it is, I feel that there is a list. I don't think that it was destroyed. I don't think it was lost. I think that they can put together their own investigation and figure out who's who to the best of their ability. And maybe some are going to skirt the edges and not be able to be prosecuted. But I think that they could find enough to prosecute major players, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think and believe, right? And I think that that information should be available to the public, right?
Okay, so now is it safe to say, because I know that, and I hear David, what he says, and I heard, you guys speaking about it, but yesterday, one of the things
Mhm.
that you or that David says, well, if the Democrats had information on Trump and if he was in there, then they would have released it to X, Y, and Z. But you just made a valid point where it goes beyond Trump, it goes deeper than Trump, etc. So that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Yeah, if they had information on Trump, and if they didn't release it at that time, or use it as a chess piece is because it goes beyond them. It goes beyond Trump. It goes beyond all this stuff that if, you leak this or this happens, it's a ripple effect. It's a chain effect of a domino effect of what can happen and what they can corrupt. And it was in their best interest not to leak or disclose anything. I'm not saying that Trump is in the files, but that's kind of where I mean, you just said it very well. It goes deeper than anything that we probably can comprehend or the Trump, etc.
If anything, I don't think that Trump was the one to like kill it being released. I really don't. It would make no sense for him to
I don't
put the
think so
people in
either.
position that he did. It just doesn't make sense because it's such to build it up and then to have it turn out like this. No, that's not really a Trump thing.
No, I think
He's
he
all
felt
about optics.
frustration. Yes, and I think yesterday with how he reacted to the press, did he react in a manner he shouldn't have? Absolutely. But sometimes I think you react out of frustration. It's like if they stopped the operation, if they were like, cut it, nothing is going to be released, if it came from higher ups. And then, Trump has a big ego. Trump wants to show the world that he runs the world, that he is, the person that is in place calling the shots. But at the end of the day, do the presidents really call the shots if we want to get really deep into it? Of
Well,
course,
that yeah, I mean, you can see in the first term how Trump was unable to call the shots. I mean, he
yeah.
was literally, there's a million ways to handcuff the president, right?
Hmm.
And we're lucky here in the United States that we have the system that we have, as corrupt as people want to believe it is. And there is a lot of corruption in the system, but the system, the framework itself, I do not think is a corrupt ideal. It's been perverted for a very long time, and I mean that in many different ways.
Yeah.
But the system that we have of checks and balances, while sometimes out of balance, still works. And Democrats are very good at taking advantage of kneecapping Republicans, and Republicans are very good at taking advantage of kneecapping Democrats. Now, many would obviously accuse it doesn't work, and you have those limitations on power when you have a true two-party system. And I would argue that we've had a uniparty for a very, very long time, and that uniparty still exists. It's still
Yeah.
there right now today. And I think this is further proof of that. I think that it's a lot of unelected middle management bureaucrats, a lot of foot soldiers within various government agencies that actually exercise most of the power, because they can undermine anything an elected or an appointed official does, right? And if they have enough sway in order to do so, and enough partnerships outside in the political apparatus to do so, they'll exercise that. I can tell you that from some experience. And they will take advantage of the positions that they're in. Like, so if you're really going to clean house and you really wanted to find all the information, they probably should have sat on it, not talked about it, not said they were going to release it, said that they were investigating it instead, and then clean out all of what was blocking the way to get to the information, and find a way that they could release that information while still preserving, the ability to prosecute, because that's what the American people want to see. And I think it goes bigger. It's not just Americans that want to see it. I think people around the world want to see it, because this spans not just the United States, but overseas as well.
Oh, absolutely. Beautifully said, Landy. And with that, guys, we are at top of the hour, so we are going to wrap up. Thank you so much, Landy, for coming and speaking conspiracy Epstein file edition tonight. And
Thanks,
maybe next
Leslie.
time we'll make something different, something more juicy, something more entertaining, something that really will blow people's minds. But thank you again for coming on. Rob, of course, dropped off. I think the elites are getting to him because he probably knows a lot of information, and we still have yet to understand or hear what he really knows. I think he's just trying to see if we really are conspiracy theorists, right, Landy? I don't know. Landy, are you a conspiracy theorist? I really never asked you publicly.
Um, Am I a conspiracy theorist? I entertain conspiracy theories from a very methodical and logical point of view. And if there is, I don't believe that there's never an answer. I believe that there's always an answer. It's just, are we privy to that answer? So
And
I,
absolutely
I
not.
enjoy conspiracy theories.
So, well, thank you for enjoying speaking with me because I am a big conspiracy theorist. I don't know when I became one, but I'm like, everything's always going to be a conspiracy until you prove it right, right?
Right. Thank you for having me on, Leslie. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Landy, and thank you, Rob, again. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the nightly recap powered by Gokhshtein News Network. Oh, did I say it right? Jesus, I'm glitching. I don't know what the hell is happening to me tonight, but we will be back. Oh, wait. Rob is here. He's back. Rob.
I am so sorry. I think the conspiracy theory is messing with my phone.
Rob, when you dropped off, I said that I think you are the biggest or probably the one that is really seated and rooted conspiracy theorist because you're the one that keeps getting jammed and booted from us. And you've been around,
No, I am. Trust me, Leslie, none of your I'm conspiracy on the reality is I'm the conspiracy theorist on top of the conspiracy. It's like you all think there was a conspiracy to kill Kennedy. Duh, I've talked to the Kennedys. They all know that. I talked to John Ely, who was the, chief clerk to Justice Warren, who told me we did what we had to do. That's the obvious part. The part that's not obvious is what's the conspiracy underneath the conspiracy? Like, what are these people not at? Duh, they're hiding stuff from us. What's being hidden that we don't even know is being hidden? And maybe that was my point with Trump. He may not even know what they're hiding. Like, it's like, can you get to the bottom of this? I don't know, because somebody's hiding something I can't even find. You're right, Leslie. I'm the king. You might be the queen of conspiracy theories. I get to be the king. But I don't believe, Leslie, that I'm not buying the one about Netanyahu. I'm just not buying that one yet. But there might still be another version I would buy. But I'm not buying that was all a plan.
Of him coming over here and then the files not being released.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. But I do think there could be a whole layer underneath it that is even more complicated.
So
I'm
you
just
don't
not
think
sure
that
it's
the
that.
IDF probably truly is running the world and we think America is?
Who's running it?
BB? Is that who you said?
BB's running the
Yeah.
world? No.
Yeah, no.
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 There's a conspiracy or what do you say on top of that conspiracy? Okay, so in regards to the Epstein file,
Consider a conspiracy under a conspiracy. It's like
under.
one layered on the other. It's layers. And the whole thing is it's like you think you've seen, it's like, have you ever had a dream and you have the dream and you wake up and realize, thank God I was dreaming, and realize you're still dreaming. It's like
Yes.
it's like that. It's like a layer under the layer.
It's like the
Inception.
agency within the agency.
Inception, yes. It's Inception. Yes.
Otherwise known as the conspiracy theory onion. It's the onion theory.
That's how I'm going to start doing my research of my research of my research.
Hey, Leslie, can I ask you
Yes,
a question? A personal question?
sure.
Do you do this? Do you do this to men, like in your life? Do they have to go? Do they go through this vetting process? Like, do you be like, I believe you, sort of, not really. Thanks, that was great dinner. And now I'm going to go to the next layer and the next layer, like, because I don't think as guys we do that, right, Lenny? I don't think we inherently do that, but I think women do. I always feel like every question I'm asked, there's a question underneath it that I don't know I'm being asked. It's like, so when's the last time you did blank? Oh, let me answer that. But that wasn't the question I was really being asked. Like, I was being set up for something else. Like,
I mean, if I do, I don't notice it. I was with somebody for 27 years. I was married 24 years. I mean, they put up with me for that long until they couldn't.
Landy, you know what I'm saying, though, right? Like, right? I don't know
Yeah,
your personal life, but you know what
I'm
saying?
married.
Like, where you're, okay.
I'm married, so I live with a conspiracy theorist, and most of the
I
conspiracies.
sleep with a conspiracy theorist.
Yes,
She's wondering
and
what the conspiracy is in our bed. Like,
yeah, Like I have to investigate weird conspiracy theories within our own lives on a regular basis, which is quite entertaining. So I've learned to love it. I
Wait,
enjoy.
wait. What do you mean by that? That's fascinating. Within your own life, meaning she'll be like not about politics, actually about your life.
Yeah, yeah. Because I had a job at one point that was very where that I was tight-lipped about for a while.
So
I
she
had
was
to be
like, I
tight-lipped
want to
about it.
know the truth underneath it.
Yes, and I told her, I'll tell you when I'm dead.
I'll tell you when I'll send you a letter from the
Yes, you
grave.
can. Here's a key.
Wow.
Here's a 24 word seed phrase and a cold hardware wallet embedded in the witness data of this Bitcoin transaction will be the entire story. It's readable on the blockchain, but nobody knows where it is, so they'll never find it.
Well, I'm in Ready Player One right now. You know
I
what?
think
I'd be fucked by that because I can't even remember my own 12 seed phrase words. So I'm like, whatever. Like I have to write them down and put them in six.
yeah. But Rob, oh, he
Oh
left.
crap! He
We
got cut
lost him.
off again. See, there's black vans sitting out wherever he is, and
Yeah,
they're jamming the signal every time he goes
they're
to
trying
actually
to
say
every
something.
single time. But he asked a great question because it kind of left me thinking. And Landy, you kind of already know a little bit of my history. And I was the type of I never asked questions. Don't ask questions, whatever. I saw
Mhm.
things, I paid attention to things. And because I didn't ask questions, once I told you can ask and that's it. But I saw things that fit the patterns as to why I couldn't ask the questions. So
Mhm.
now I kind of feel like that I'm free. So now I'm a big conspiracy theorist. Now I'm going to ask questions. Now I'm going to dig. Now I'm going to like peel the layers of things. And I think it was because I did kind of live a life where it was very secretive
Yeah.
because of things that were happening.
Yeah, I mean,
Based,
I've told my wife enough about these things, and just I've kept some things non-specific because that's just kind of how it is. I prefer just to keep what was work at the time, and these days it's more conspiracy theories about what the hell are those maintenance people doing outside the house, outside the gate there? What are they doing? Why are they there? Are they supposed to be there? You need to go investigate. And then I'll go, let me, I'll go check it out. Oh, okay. It looks like they were scheduled. When were they scheduled? Why were they scheduled? Did you schedule them? Who scheduled them?
I
So I
mean,
get, I get tons of questions like that.
yeah. And that theory of like the men in black people are like they really do exist. I'm like, yeah, they really do exist. They used to come to my neighborhood.
Well, Leslie, it looks like it's about time for me to get going this evening. As I stare out the window.
You're like, oh, are they coming? They used to go and knock on my neighbors' doors and ask questions. So, yeah, that's kind of when I discovered that they do exist. And I would ask my neighbors, well, I can ask you questions. So, how were they dressed? Oh, they were dressed like all in black in a business suit and things like that. I'm like, oh, so they do exist. It was funny because they did it a few times throughout the years.
Yeah. Well, it's there's definitely, I've seen a lot in the work that I've done in my life, and what I can say about it is even for what I saw and experienced, it was just a fraction. It was just a peak, right? You end up very siloed in terms of information, whether you're working for a company or whether you're working for the government or defense or the military or whatever it might be. You're only allowed purview over what it is that you're working on at that time. And I have my own theories. I wish that I could talk about some of the theories I had, but that would not be smart.
Yeah, yep. Well, I don't know if Rob's coming back, but I do need to go and do a conspiracy theory by the border tonight before it gets dark. So, on that note, everybody have a great night. Landy, have a good night, and we will see you guys on Friday. Friday, I'm excited for Friday. Oh, I forgot, David will be back tomorrow by himself. So if you guys want to tune in for David, you guys like to see David's tan face, tune in tomorrow. But Friday, it's going to be exciting. Landy, if you have time, I know that Hotep loves to have you on the show. It's going to be a fun one, hot and spicy, because I haven't seen Hotep in 2 weeks. So I'm kind of
Oh, that's
excited.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. There was no Friday. Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah, no, I'll be there Friday. I'll come through.
We haven't seen each other, Landy, so you're going to be right in the middle of that steam. So
Third wheel in it. Gotta love it.
gotta love it. But on that note, everybody, good night. See y'all mañana.
Awake.
Truth. It's all connected.